So this guy got married to a new wife and abandoned his old wife, and his old wife was worried that the new wife was going to try to kill his children so that her children could inherit the kingdom. So the new wife actually decides that she's going to try to murder his children, but she does so by going and spoiling all the crops so that when his people go to get the harvest, there's nothing there. So she then tries to bribe them by telling them that she's going to end the famine, basically by them sacrificing one of the children.
Just as the boy was about to be killed on the altar, a ram with a marvelous golden fleece swooped in and whisked them away. This ram had been sent by Hermes, who had been called upon by the mother of the children to save them.
The son, by the name of Phrixus, sacrificed the ram who had come in to save him to the god Zeus, thanking him for having saved him. He then decided that he was going to give the ram's golden fleece to King Aedes, who was a king he had met across the strait who had let him marry one of his daughters. Phrixus had an uncle who was a king in Greece. The king had sent his son Jason to a place of safety, so instead his nephew became the king. When Jason grew older, he returned to the kingdom so that he could try to take his place as king. Of course, his uncle wouldn't let him take his place as king. He had to make him go on this quest for the golden fleece, and that was the only way he would let him take his place as king.
Jason, excited by this quest, decided to head off in a ship called the Argo with a group of men that we now call the Argonauts. Their first destination was an island where only women lived, who had murdered and overthrown the men that lived there. But they were very hospitable to the Argonauts and helped them on their quest with food and presents. The second adventure Jason had was with some birds called the Harpies, also known as the Hounds of Zeus. These birds always left behind a terrible stench. When the Argonauts got to an island where an old man named Phineus lived, they discovered that the Harpies were sent down every day to eat his food, because he had the gift of prophecy, and Zeus did not like people to know what was going to happen. He liked to keep things a secret. The Argonauts decided to fight off these birds so that Phineus could eat again. When they came down, they managed to scare away both of the birds, and Phineus ate once again. When they left, Phineus warned them of the clashing rocks that they would have to pass through. These rocks were two huge rocks that would clash together and crush any ship that came between them, if the ships couldn't row through them fast enough. When they got there, they managed to row through the rocks just fast enough to get through.
The king that possessed the golden fleece only agreed to give it up if Jason could pass a series of tests. Meanwhile, the gods in Olympus decided that they were going to make Aphrodite's son, Cupid, shoot Princess Medea with a love arrow so that she would fall in love with Jason. Once this happened, the king gave Jason his quest. The king gave them a trial, which was to put a yoke on two bulls that he had, that actually breathed fire and had bronze feet, and he had to make them plow a field. Then they had to put dragon teeth in the lines of the field that they just had the bulls plow, and then they would have to fight an army that popped up from the teeth. Then they had to fight the entire army and kill the entire army. Then, only then, they would get the golden fleece. Jason and his Argonauts accepted the quest, and the following day they decided to start on it. Jason wrestled with the bulls and was finally able to put the yoke on it, and threw the dragon teeth, and the army of men popped up out of the ground. He then threw a stone that was given to him by Princess Medea that was to help him with his quest. This stone, when thrown, would make the skeletons or army of men, whatever they were, fight each other.
After the fight was over and Jason had succeeded, King Aedes vowed to never give the golden fleece to anyone. But Medea, driven by her love for Jason, decided to lure the serpent that guarded the golden fleece into a sleep, which allowed them to get the golden fleece and escape. The journey back from King Aedes' castle was not an easy one. Medea had to kill her brother that had followed them. She also had to call upon the hounds of Hades to kill a giant bronze man that would have killed them if she didn't think quickly. They got back safely, but the deeds that had been done there were horrendous. Peleus had forced Jason's father to kill himself, and Jason's mother had died of grief. Medea came up with a clever plan to kill Peleus, and it succeeded. Medea showed them how she could chop an old man up into pieces and put him in a boiling pot of water, and then make him young again. She did this, but when Peleus' daughters went to chop him up so that he could become young again, she did not perform the magic that she performed on the old man, and he ended up dead, chopped into pieces, with his daughters knowing they were the ones who killed him. When Jason and Medea got back to their homeland, they had 2 sons. But then Jason, being mean as ever, betrayed Medea and decided to marry the king of Corinth's daughter. Medea, overcome with grief, found out a way to kill the king of Corinth's daughter, which was to gift her with a beautiful robe that she covered in deadly drugs. This succeeded, and Jason and Medea were both left lonely for the rest of their lives.